Welcome to the best King's Indian game by Bassem Amin. By the end of this video, you'll be able to answer the following key points. Wow, I did not expect black could play knight g4. Welcome to the best King's Indian game by Bassem Amin. Welcome to Korobov versus Amin. Introducing the players. Anton Korobov, 34 years old, Ukrainian champion, peak rating 27-23. Bassem Amin, he's from Egypt, he's the highest rated player from Egypt and Africa. 31 years old, peak rating 27-12. This game took place during Tata Steel, thanks to a subscriber, Mustafa Basim, who suggested to look at this player. It was by looking at Amin's openings that I discovered he played the King's Indian. And hence I discovered this really nice game by him. So thanks to Mustafa. Korobov has white, Amin has black. The game began. d4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, bishop g7. If you want to see another really nice King's Indian game, check out the best King's Indian Blitz game by Bobby Fischer. Korchnoi versus Fischer. e4, d6, and now f3, giving support to white's already very strong centre. After f3, castle, bishop g5. Now because this bishop is not here, black now plays c5, attacking the centre. White gains more space with d5, h6, bishop e3 and e6, trying to break up white's very strong centre. Queen d2, take, take, and now a6. Preparing b5. White stops it with a4. Here is an opening trap. You cannot play bishop takes h6 because black can play knight takes e4. This attacks the queen, so you have to take back and queen h4 check. When you block, then queen takes h6, you get your piece back. But the story is not over. Take, take, knight takes d6, and here, black has compensation. For example, rook d8, take, take. Notice black is a pawn down, but he's got the dark squared bishop. It controls so many squares. It can come back to put pressure on the queen side. This knight can go to d7. You can go to f6 or to e5. If it goes to f6, it's putting pressure on d5. This rook can go back to e8 to check the king. Then this rook can come in the game. So even though black is down a pawn, there is compensation. Korobov knows this trap, so he just goes a4, and Amin plays h5. So then he doesn't have to worry about this trap anymore. Knight e2, knight d7, knight c1. h5 is a great move because it stops knight g3. Normally, this knight would be really good on this square because it stops black in the future playing f5. So that's another reason why h5 is useful for black. But is it a strength or a weakness? That's why Korobov went knight c1, knight e5, bishop e2, knight h7, and after h3, black now played f5. So I think white could have castled on the previous move, but the point of h3 is to play f4 next. He wants to dislodge this very strong knight on e5. Black goes f5, because after f4, black can now tuck the knight back to f7. Is white's centre collapsing? Yes and no, because this is part of Korobov's strategy. He's transforming the type of space he's got in the centre, so we'll see very soon. He should make a decision with the e-pawn, and he takes on f5, and now g takes f5 was played in the game. Now a better move was bishop takes f5, just to keep your pawns intact. But maybe Amin was worried about g4, but not to worry because you can just tuck it back. Notice white cannot win a pawn here because queen h4 check will pick up the bishop. That's why after g4, bishop d7, if you go bishop f2, so then you're stopping black playing queen h4. Queen e7, the game goes on. G takes h5, and black can actually throw in g5, a really cool idea that I'd never seen before. So white is up a pawn, but this pawn is going nowhere. This pawn is used to break up white's center, and then after that, black's pieces, especially this knight, it can come to e5. Rook can come to e8 anyway. So white's center is collapsing. Now back to the game. After e takes f5, Amin took with the g pawn. Same problem, you can't play bishop takes h5 because queen h4 check. G takes f5, now castle. Knight back into the game, f6. Bishop f2. So black now has some really nice central control. This knight is controlling e4 along with the pawn. Black can get his pieces out. Bishop d7, rook e8. Bishop d7 played, a5. And this is the first star move of the game. Whether it is correct according to the computer, I don't really care, but it looks like a really good move. The idea of sacrificing a pawn for central control. Notice this knight and this bishop are controlling b5, but also this knight is controlling e4. So black plays an interesting pawn sack with bishop b5. In the game, rook e1 was played, but we must look at bishop takes b5. What is the idea? If take and take, knight e4, and it's just looking very dangerous. If you go queen c2, then the a5 pawn will drop. White is losing control, so this is not a great variation. Now, what if knight takes? Well, it's the same thing. We're going to come into e4 anyway. Take, knight e4. Move the queen, and then here you can take on a5 just like before. So rook e1 played and rook e8. Now if you watched the previous King's Indian video here, Amin can play like Fischer. You can actually go knight h8 coming round to g6. So bishop f3, planning rook e6, black can actually play bishop d7 first, then go knight g6. So this is just a nice way to reroute the knight on f7 because it wasn't going anywhere. Amin chose rook e8 instead. Fair enough. Both rooks controlling the e-file. Queen c2, attacking f5, so let's defend. And knight e4 is coming. Bishop f3. Nice play by Korobov. 3 pieces are controlling the e4 square. Well, actually 4, including the knight. And white's got more space, so white has a nice position here. Let's swap off rooks. Get the other rook into the game, knight e2. And this was the beginning of the video. Maybe in this position, Korobov thought this move wasn't possible. Because if it was white's move again, he would put the knight on g3, attacking both the h5 and the f5 pawn. But Amin throws his knight into g4. In the game, knight takes b5 played. But let's actually have a look at the capture because it's not the end of the story. Take. Bishop is trapped, so take. Knight g3, so we're still coming in. So let's stop it with knight h6, and after queen g6, queen f7. Gotta play it, or else white would have played knight h5 next. Looks pretty dangerous. So if queen takes d6, knight f5, and black has got some control. Take. Black is down a pawn, but control is very important. Bishop can come to d4, check. Black's rook controls the e-file, and black's got some attacking options. Can't take this one because it looks like f4 will drop. So back to the game. After knight g4, knight takes b5. A takes b5. Bishop c3. In this game, black has made very dynamic moves, which you would expect from a King's Indian player. But white is defending very well. I really like how both sides have played. Bishop c3 by Korobov. Knight hf6. Knight g3. Knight g3. Attacking both h5 and f5. But now black makes a few tempo moves. Every move that black makes now, white has to react. So bishop takes c3 and queen takes c3 played in the game. Another option was to take with a b pawn. And maybe white's got an extra option, maybe rook b1, he's still got a6, and both are still under attack. But hey, queen takes c3 played in the game. b4, so you got to retreat. Still h5 is hanging. And now h4. Korobov now cracks, because up to this point he's played a really nice game as white. Just showing throughout the game that white has more space in the King's Indian. Korobov now took, which was a bad move. A better move was knight f1, keeping control, guarding the e3 square. Because the knight can retreat and then queen f2. This is the key idea, and there's no good way to defend h4. You can play knight f5, but doesn't look so good after queen f5. Take. I think black is doing okay. However, in the game, he took the knight, and now Amin took g3, g5. Pause the video to find the brilliant move for black, because at first glance it looks like black has to move the knight to g4. I'll give you 5 seconds. Just because a piece is attacked doesn't mean you have to move it. And you don't. Queen g7 is the brilliant move. After knight g4, black doesn't get much of an advantage. Take. And queen d3. Attacking the g3 pawn, but also queen g6 check looks very dangerous. So we don't want to do that. So here, the brilliant move queen g7, and maybe Korobov missed this. Now in the game, bishop h5 was played. Now the first question must be, why not g takes h6? Because you just take back. And white is getting mated. The queen will go to h2 with check, and it will be checkmate. There's no good way to stop queen h2 check. So bishop h5 played in the game, and now knight f7. Queen d3, attacking g3 and f5. In this game, black's kingside pawns have proven to be weak, but black has made many dynamic moves, which is expected when you're a King's Indian player. After queen d3, queen takes b2, attacking the rook on a1, but more importantly, the f2 square. Bishop takes f7 check. This is what Korobov was counting on. Just because white takes a piece doesn't mean black has to recapture. And here, Amin plays another brilliant move with king g7. Wow. So many star tactical moves in this game. First question is, why not just take back your piece? Queen takes f5 check, and white will get out with a draw king g7, queen d7 check. There's no good hiding space for the king. King has to defend the rook, and then you come back. And you keep checking. That's why after bishop f7 check, king g7 played. Wow. The double threat is still there. Bishop takes e8 played. Another option was rook f1, which leads to another star tactical move. Rook f1 makes sense because it stops queen f2 check. And if black didn't see the following brilliant move, he might have taken this and then it's the same as before. Pause the video to find a star tactical move. The clue is, it's all about the f2 square. I'll give you 5 seconds. The brilliant move is rook e1. Wow. Because queen f2 check is now a threat, a rook sacrifice, if taken, will lead to mate. So that's the first question, just to show you. If rook takes rook, then queen f2 check, queen takes e1, it will be checkmate. So queen takes g3, getting rid of that dangerous pawn, but now queen d4 check, leading to a 1 ending. If you move the king, you lose the rook. So after queen f2, everything comes off. Take, and now you just push. Do not be silly and take the bishop, because then the king is actually in time. c4, king d2, b3, king c3, we're in time. Or if you push the other one, it doesn't matter. b3, king d2, b2, king c2. This is worse because you lose the pawn. Back to the game. After king g7, bishop takes rook. Now queen takes rook, check. Queen f1, only move. Queen d4 check, king h1, and it's time to push. b3. Queen e1, white has a dangerous threat. Queen e7 check. So black stops it with the only piece that is doing nothing at the moment. But also, this is a perfect king move. King to f8. Not only does it stop queen e7 check, but now black has a brilliant backward move with queen h8 check. So bishop h5 stops it. Also, white now is queen e8 check, but black now blocks the e-file with queen e4, and in this position, Korobov resigned because the b2 pawn will run. So a few examples. If queen takes g3, you can just push. That's it. And after g6, you get your queen, king h2. White only has one threat with g7 check, so you can stop it with queen d4. Game over. If queen c3, planning queen h8 check, black is the one who gives mate. Queen b1 check. If queen takes e4, you just take. That's it. And white is just not in time if bishop d1, b2, bishop c2, e3. And the king just can't come back in time. King g1, e2, game over. Thank you so much for watching all the way until the end. And thanks once again to Mustafa for suggesting to look at Bassem Amin's games. Here are the key points. In the opening, there was a trap. Bishop takes h6 is met with knight takes e4, then queen h4 check, and then queen takes h6. In the middle game, black had the idea, sacrifice the h5 pawn, because black can break up the center with g5. Middle game tactics, white played g5 to attack the knight on h6, but then black played queen g7. He didn't even move the knight. King g7, another star move, black does not recapture the bishop. After white played bishop takes f7 check, and then the final star king move, king f8. This backward move meant black also had queen h8 check. If you enjoyed the show, why not like the video and subscribe to the channel at the same time. Make sure you hit that bell, because then you'll get notified each time I release a new video. If you really enjoyed the show, there's a donation link in the description below. Thanks a lot, and I will see you in a future video.